Okay, so I am currently an ESL instructor at the Halton District School Board. I'm also a certified speaking rater at Paragon Testing Enterprises. And I came to Canada around nearly 3 years ago. And since coming to Canada, I dabbled in, the diverse levels in the education sector, from teaching as a sessional instructor in the Chang School of Continuing Education at Ryerson University to being a course instructor at Kumon Math and Reading Center. So I just, went and kind of experienced all the levels. And as a new immigrant, it was very important for me to understand and learn, the culture and integrate with the society. And finally, I went on to get my OSL designation, and after completing the TESL diploma. And before coming to Canada, I was an assistant professor of English in India in the higher education sector, and I taught there for more than 9 years.
Wow. Well, that's quite a resume, and you have so much experience and a variety of it too. That's great.
Yes, I cherish all my experiences because I feel there is something to learn from everything you do.
Yeah, well, since we're talking on that topic, what do you, love about your job, or what has been the, most, I guess, rewarding experience so far?
Yes, so basically, I'm very, very passionate about teaching. So the very fact that I'm teaching in a classroom, be it virtual or face-to-face, that gives me a lot of joy. And apart from that, it's, I think, the connect that I establish with the students, the rapport, and, that human connection, which goes beyond the lessons. I think that is very, very important. And that is what makes me feel very enriched and fulfilled. And even now, I am in touch with quite a few of my students in India, in spite of being here for 3 years, and they often email me to ask me for advice or check in on me and just say hi and when are you coming to India next. So that makes me feel so good, so
yeah, absolutely. Yes. I totally agree. Like with teaching, it's so important to have that connection with your students.
Yes,
and it just makes you feel like a family, and it makes everything so much better.
Exactly. Could I just share a small anecdote?
Of course, yeah.
Yes, I was volunteering at the Viet Sky project last year, and there I had to teach in Vietnam online through Zoom, and my student adult was an adult high school, primary school teacher, but music teacher. Okay, so we were talking, there were sessions about, intercultural communication. So we were it's a speaking conversation skills class. So I had to share, about the food and culture and, different aspects of Canadian life. And the student would also share about Vietnamese life. So I had this class on Canadian food where I talked about poutine and maple syrup, etc., and shared recipes, slides, pictures. And she's not very fond of cooking. Okay, she was telling me, she told me that her husband did most of the cooking in the house. Okay, so next class when we met and we were doing small talk, and I just asked her that, how has the week been, and how are you? And she just told me suddenly that, I didn't like it. And I was like, what did I do wrong? Okay, was it the slides? What did my class go wrong? What did she not like? Okay, so I was immediately scared. And then she told me that she had actually tried to cook poutine from all the recipes that I'd shared. And she made a mess of it, and she did not like the way it turned out. So that just made me feel like, oh my God, this is the kind of influence that teachers have in the life of students, right? So we do have an influence. So that's something I cherish.
That's incredible. That's such an incredible story that, she went out and actually tried to make poutine. Now, poutine is difficult to make at home.
Yes. And so I have never tried it. I've had poutine a number of times, but I've never tried making it. And she's not fond of cooking, but she did it. And so it was it was wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's such a great story. And it proves, how far our reach goes and how much influence we have on our students. And I think sometimes we forget that, we forget how much influence we have. Exactly. And that's a good reminder.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's go on to our next question is, how did you get started with ELT?
Okay, so that's a very good question. But to answer that, I will have to take you back to the beginning of time, because
Sure.
Yes, exactly. Because when I was in my middle school, okay, so we had this school project, which is a community project called Each One, Teach One. Okay, so it was a literacy project where we had each one of our students had to actually reach out to the community and to the disadvantaged in the community and teach at least one person. So that's when I discovered that I really enjoyed teaching and it was very empowering. And then when I went on to high school, I had one of the most fantastic teachers and who made me fall in love with English and Shakespeare. And then I decided I had to teach and I had to study and teach English. And I went on to do all my education from bachelor's to master's to MPhil to doctoral degree in English. And at the same time, I was a very involved member of the British Council. So I would always do their workshops and professional development sessions on ELT and in the different language skills. And so that was, again, a great learning experience for me. And then when I went on to do my certification in India for teaching, being eligible to teach English language and literature all over India. So I did that. And then, as I told you, I went on to become an assistant professor. And when I came to Canada, I, again, got the OSELT designation. And now currently I'm teaching.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible story.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's been a long journey, but very fulfilling. Yes.
Yeah. So that one, incident or not incident, but like that small experience of teaching just got you hooked.
Yes. And obviously the people around you and the teachers and then when you fall in love with the subject, so then yes, you want to.
Yeah. And I also noticed, like you said, you went on to study and I noticed that you have your master's and your PhD. How has all that helped you in ELT?
Okay, so that's a very good question too. So I think it's not only about ELT, but for any other subject, if you do any master's or any PhD, then you are investing so much of time and effort and gaining so much of knowledge and expertise and content knowledge. So that kind of strengthens the foundation you have in your subject, right? So that is always something that will stand you in very good stead in your field of work. So naturally, I was doing English language and literature, and that gave me that solid grounding on English. And then, doing masters and PhD also gives you a lot of other skills which are very transferable, because you learn about research methodology, you learn discipline, time management, completing things within deadlines. You have to present papers. Okay, so and even all of these things you can you can transfer to your teaching. And you have to handle a lot of stress in a very short time. So it's a lot of skills, life skills also that you learn, which you can transfer. Obviously, you need to have the passion for teaching. That's obviously there. But apart from that, the content knowledge and the transferable skills that you gain from this, extended period of investment in education, that will always give you a solid ground and will give you a heads up when you enter the field of work.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the transferable skills, because I never thought of it that way.
Yes.
Like, all of the skills that you gain just from, like you said, doing research and having, having gone through it, transfers over to teaching. That's a really good point.
Doing academic writing. So when you're teaching, you have that solid base and solid grounding, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to make presentations, and in a class, what are you doing if you're not making presentations? Exactly, presenting. So there's a lot to it. It's not only the content and the knowledge and the education, it's also these other skills that you learn.
Yeah, that's right.